unconscious by witnesses, and at this stage we do not know their condition. We do know 5 other firefighters out here were injured in varying degrees, taken to local hospitals, but we're told that all of the individuals involved, all the firefighters, are believed not to have life-threatening injuries. Let's talk a little more about this fire right now as we show you what's going on over my shoulder here. 7 to 8 units were involved, 7 of them totally destroyed. This is the guard. There is some question out here at this stage as to whether or not some of the problems mentioned earlier by Roy in reference to water pressure may have had something to do with the injury of these firefighters. Some of the witnesses tell us that they saw the firefighters go in, they noticed that there was a drop in pressure, and they were not able to use that water to battle back a great wall of fire, which may very well have had a major effect on their injuries. We're going to learn a little more about that a little later on in the evening as we get to talk to officials. But right now they're bringing it under control. It looks as though things are pretty well under control at this stage. You can see the firefighters over my shoulders there just putting out hot spots. So as we get more information, Vic, we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Of course, Eyewitness News will continue to monitor this fire and bring you the very latest information from the scene on this very constant battle of the blaze, which went to 3 alarms, which began just around 4 o'clock. Damage is estimated at least $1 million. New at 11, the very latest developments on this breaking story and how it's affecting all of us.
Now here's Bob with a beautiful 5-day forecast. Bob.
It's very warm days coming up. Sunny, 86 tomorrow, 88 on
Center, 2 with second-degree burns. What we can tell you about these second-degree burns is second-degree burns are those that affect the outer and the underlying layers of skin. They can cause redness, swelling, and blistering. That's the main difference between second and first degree, the blisters, and obviously are very, very painful. First-degree burns would be a more minor burn, outer layer of the skin, pain, redness, and swelling. Denise, as soon as we get more information, we'll get back to you, but that's all we have for now.
All right, thank you, Kelly. We invite you to stay with Eyewitness News throughout the night for the very latest on this fire in northeast Cecil County.
More information tonight for people who live in Baltimore City about Mayor O'Malley's new budget proposal. The mayor says he has a clear conscience about asking nonprofit organizations to pay an 8% energy tax to help make up the city's budget shortfall. Pat Warren takes a closer look.
In Cecil County.
The smoke and flames leave a number of firefighters injured and cause more than $1 million damage.
And tonight, investigators begin the process of trying to find out what caused the blaze. Good evening. I'm Tony Harris.
And I'm Jennifer Gilbert, in for Deborah Weiner. The fire broke out about 3:30 this afternoon in the town of Northeast, Maryland. Karen Parks is live at the Bayview Burn Center in Southeast Baltimore tonight, where 2 injured firefighters are being treated. Karen.
Well, Jennifer and Tony, just in, Ed Reynolds Jr. and Gary Bott are in guarded condition here at the Bayview Burn Center. Now, we were told that they are suffering from first and second degree burns, over 50% of their bodies. Firefighter Howard Flowers is listed in in serious condition at shock trauma, suffering from smoke inhalation. And at this hour, investigators are still trying to figure out what went wrong. More than 100 firefighters were called out to battle this blaze, which completely destroyed 7 condominiums in the Cecil County complex.
But, you know, when you have a wooden house, a stick house, it goes, and it goes real fast.
It took firefighters more than 3 hours to control the blaze.
Even though there's water supply on site, the fact that the fire did get a head start, the firefighters, in fact, ended up having to chase the fire from one property to the next,
causing more than $1 million worth of damage.
You're in awe, really, because you just wonder and you just pray that nobody gets hurt.
In fact, 8 firefighters were hurt. 3 suffered severe burns and were flown to Bayview's Burn Center. 5 others suffered from heat exhaustion, smoke inhalation, and minor burns. They were taken to area hospitals.
We have conflicting information as to how the 3 firefighters who were burned suffered their injuries. We know it was in the early stages of fire suppression activities. We don't know whether there was a building collapse or whether they were burned in some manner while they were performing fire suppression activities.
The cause of the fire is unknown.
Because of the total destruction to the property, we do not expect to have a cause of the fire either tonight or by Wednesday.
Now, just to recap what happened, 8 firefighters were injured in a fire at a Cecil County condominium complex, which caused more than $1 million worth of damage. Now, 2 of the firefighters are here at the Johns Hopkins Bayview Center in guarded condition. Now, no civilians were hurt in this fire. Reporting live from the Bayview Burn Center, Karen Parks, Fox 45 News at 10.
Police in Howard County say a husband and wife were killed when their pickup truck was in
With the latest. The baby seat you use could be putting your child in serious danger. Don't miss this important recall. And a new study about the quality of the air that you breathe every day. I'm Vic Hart, Eyewitness News, now seconds away.
It's one thing to watch movies. At Universal,
You've got Baltimore's favorite news team. Now, Eyewitness News.
Hopes and dreams go up in smoke. Fast-moving fire tears through a townhouse complex.
8 firefighters are injured. 3 must be airlifted out.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vic Carter.
And I'm Denise Koch. Here's what people are talking about tonight.
A devastating $1 million fire takes over 100 firefighters to bring under control. This is where it happened, the town of Northeast in Cecil County, where at this late hour, crews remain on the scene. Eyewitness News is live in Northeast right now. Dennis Edwards begins our team coverage. Dennis.
Well, Vic, 3 injured firefighters are in serious condition at 2 Baltimore area hospitals at this hour. State fire marshals and ATF agents aren't allowing cameras near the scene as they investigate a fire that could be seen for more than 20 miles and burned as hot as 1,200 degrees.
They were both burned. They were first-degree burns. You could tell from the way their skin was.
It was a frightening kind of deja vu for John Schwartz. After 17 years of fighting fires in New York City, the retired fire department lieutenant thought he was through with unpredictable flames until a blaze quickly spread near his retirement home at Northeast Isle Development.
A little before 3, I was upstairs. I saw some smoke in the street. Came outside, and there was a fire in the building next to ours.
The fire started in Unit 39. We've had 7 units destroyed by the blaze. An 8th unit suffered moderate fire damage.
Firefighters estimate damages to all the units at more than $1 million. 2 firefighters suffered first and second-degree burns. Both were medevaced to Johns Hopkins Bayview Medical Center. A third was flown to shock trauma, suffering with smoke inhalation. Witnesses tell Eyewitness News the injured firefighters appeared to be struggling with water pressure in their hoses when a wall of fire literally exploded in their faces.
Apparently they lost water at some point as the windows were vented. And so, of course, the fire blew down on them, and that's how they probably got burned.
5 other firefighters were also injured. They were taken to local hospitals. Homeowners were left to salvage what they could. Diana Gross's home sustained the least damage. She was able to get her cat Simon out safely, along with a few personal items.
My cats are okay. My husband's okay. You know, I'm okay.
Your husband doesn't even know yet.
No, he doesn't know. He's in Denver, so.
But he's okay.
He's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Now, 20 people have been displaced because of this fire. They're looking for temporary housing right now. State fire marshals tell Eyewitness News the damage wouldn't have been so severe if there had been firewalls and sprinkler systems in these buildings, but this development was built before that equipment was made mandatory. Vic?
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Eyewitness News is just off the phone with Bayview Burn Center. The most severely injured firefighters are identified as Ed Reynolds Jr. and Gary Bott. They are suffering from burns over 50% of their bodies.
In tonight's Eyewitness News Health Watch, those injured.
Live from Bayview, Barry Sims, WVA.
Took a firefighter with serious smoke inhalation to shock trauma.
When they're caught in a fire, it's a terrifying experience, even for professionals like firefighters.
Bayview Burn Center Director Dr. Robert Spence says a medical team of as many as 10 emergency and burn specialists work on the victims in the first hour.
The initial healing of the wound, the rule of thumb is for every percent body surface area, you spend a day in the hospital.
You know, as far as the glamour of being a fireman and all that kind of thing, when it comes down to its base level of getting hurt, and especially getting burned, it's not an experience that I'd want anybody else to have to go through.
And outside the hospital tonight, burn survivors, including Baltimore firefighter Jim Smith, who nearly died in a fiery East Baltimore building collapse January 2nd, say the terror leaves scars just like the burns.
The most I could do was pull my collar from my coat up around my face, and that's when, you know, I kind of thought to myself, well, this is it, you know, what a heck of a way to go.
But these survivors who are meeting here tonight to support each other offer a message of hope to firefighters and families from Cecil County.
Pretty devastating thing to hear that your husband's been hurt in a fire, and you just hope that he's, you know, that he's going to make it out, and he will.
These guys will take care of them better than anybody in the world.
A lot of best wishes from those survivors tonight. More details now on the injured Ed Reynolds Jr. He's age 23. He's recently married from the town of Northeast. Gary Bott is 35 years old. He's the father of a daughter. He's the assistant chief of the volunteer fire company in Charlestown, which is near Northeast, and he's a professional firefighter at the Aberdeen Proving Ground, recovering here tonight. At shock trauma, the firefighter's name is Howard Flowers. He's in serious condition, suffering from smoke inhalation, and everybody here wishing them well. Scott Broom reporting live from Bayview Burn Center, 2 News.
Thank you, Scott. And be sure to keep it to 2 News for the very latest on today's devastating fire in Cecil County. We'll have more on the investigation into the cause of the blaze and updates on the injured firefighters tomorrow on 2 News at 5, 6, and 11.
A 20-count indictment has been handed down.
The #1 news at 6 o'clock. This is 11 News.
11 News is live on the scene of breaking news. One woman is found dead inside an apartment. One man is in custody right now. We're live with late-breaking information.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Marianne Bannister.
And I'm Rod Daniels.
Tonight's big story at 6. Police are on the scene of a murder in Cockeysville, as we said.
Investigators are narrowing where the fire started. Plus, one of the brave firefighters who battled that 3-alarm blaze talks to 11 News. 11 News reporter Rob Roblin joins us live from the scene in Cecil County with more. Rob?
Well, first of all, Rod, you can see what's left of these 7 beautiful townhomes on the Northeast River here. Actually, nothing is left, completely destroyed. One of the homes suffered severe damage. And at this time, fire investigators are still trying to determine what caused this fire. It took over 100 firefighters to bring the blaze under control. The firefighters who fought this blaze are volunteers. Today, Odie Isaacs, one of those who was there yesterday, was cleaning up the Northeast Fire Department ladder truck. Heat from the fire melted the plastic lights on the back of the truck.
Probably in my 16 years, it was, I'd have to say, it was probably one of the worst ones I've seen. With the conditions that we had with the wind off the river and all that, it pretty much blew everything back on us.
Fire investigators say they have found no fire code violations at the homes. 2 firefighters who sustained burns fighting the fire were in Unit 39, where the blaze started. They were on the initial attack.
They were in the building on the 2nd floor trying to attack the fire, which they found in and around the master bedroom area. Their water supply was lost. As to why it was lost, that's something that we're still trying to ascertain. They were then trapped by the heat, the flames, etc. That's when they were burned.
And fire investigators also tell me that there were fire barriers in the 7 homes here that were destroyed by this fire. Once again, investigators are still trying to determine what caused the fire that destroyed these 7 homes. Reporting live from Northeast, I'm Rob Roblin.
Fire officials say a major contributing factor in the Northeast fire was the absence of sprinklers. Would it have stopped the fire, at least slowed it down? 11 News reporter Mindy Becerra continues our team coverage tonight from our newsroom. Mindy.
Well, the answer to that question is probably yes. The requirements for sprinklers vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but one thing is consistent. They make a big difference.
Sprinklers are a tremendous asset in reducing fire deaths and property damage.
We talked with fire officials in Baltimore City. They agree sprinklers, or lack thereof, were a major factor in this Northeast fire. To put it simply, the townhomes that were destroyed did not have sprinklers. Those still standing did. There is a law requiring sprinklers in structures like these, but that law passed about 60 days after the building permit was issued for that first set of townhomes. There is virtually nothing left of them now. Fire officials say a 10-year study done by the National Fire Protection Agency proves just how valuable sprinklers are for buildings like these.
They found that in occupancies like that, where sprinkler systems were present, they experienced an 81% reduction in civilian fire deaths and a 49% reduction in property damage, as opposed to the same type of buildings that were not sprinkled.
And we need to stress there are no building violations relating to that Northeast fire. The destroyed buildings were planned before sprinklers were required. Live in the newsroom, Mindy Becerra, WBAL 11 News.
We now have the latest on the conditions of the 8 firefighters injured. Late this afternoon, Ed Reynolds Jr. was released from Bayview Burn Center. Gary Bott is said to be in good condition at Bayview. Howard Flowers is listed in serious condition at shock trauma. The other firefighters were treated and released from local hospitals. For more information on the Cecil County fire, you can log on to our website at WBALchannel.com.
1 person is dead after a single car accident.
Medics had set up.
That's firefighter Flower down there in the red shirt. He has eaten an awful lot of smoke.
The volume of fire we had there was overwhelming there for a short period of time.
He didn't have an air pack on, and you don't get that close to the fire.
Wasn't that close. She'll get over it. She's here to see me. I'll be back.
8 firefighters were hurt up in Northeast. Chief Joe Combs says they've never had to fly anyone out before this. It was a very rough battle for the brave firefighters who took it on.
I love being a volunteer. I'm real active in the company. I'm president of the company, and I do a lot of administrative work along with riding the equipment. So I love what I'm doing.
And good news from shock trauma. Howard is breathing a lot easier tonight. That problem has been taken care of. The only problem still, he has a rapid heartbeat that the doctors and nurses at shock trauma will surely take care of in the next day or 2. And Denise, that's it from here. But I can tell you that when speaking to Howard today, the only question he kept asking me was, how are the other buddies who were injured in the fire? And I know you know that, so take it away.
All right, thank you, Richard. Yes, Eyewitness News just checked with Hopkins Bayview Burn Center, and Ed Reynolds Jr. has just been released from the hospital. And Gary Botts remains hospitalized, but he's in good condition tonight. The other 5 injured firefighters have been treated and released from various local hospitals.
Well, for people living in that complex, today is a day to find out what's left of a life gone up in flames. Our Eyewitness News team coverage continues now in Cecil County at the scene of the fire. Kitty Lahan is live with the very latest on the investigation into a cause. Katie?
Hi, Vic. You're right. And Richard was right. This really is big news in Cecil County today. Take a look at the sign that the residents put up just a little while ago. People driving by to take a look at the scene. And this sign thanking the firefighters and the ones that were injured with flowers and balloons. Now, fire investigators have also been here today. There is still no known cause, but there are a lot of questions tonight about how the fire could have been prevented.
The average person sees fire and that's it, but you don't know what was taking place inside that house when those firefighters made the attack.
More than 100 firefighters faced the fire, and lots of it.
And that is a lot of fire. That is a lot of fire.
Sky Eye Chopper 13 is on the scene as 3 firefighters are injured and loaded into waiting medevac choppers. 5 other firefighters are transported to local hospitals. But could the injuries, the fire, and the damage have been prevented? Some tonight are telling Eyewitness News, yes. These buildings were apparently constructed just a few months before new building codes would have taken effect. Codes that would have required tougher firewalls and sprinklers. Dick Haynes' unit was built after the new codes were in place.
And we don't have a firewall of concrete block, but we have a much larger structure as far as the construction wood is concerned. 2x6 that goes from the ceiling or from the basement to the ceiling or to the roof.
And because these buildings are older, they didn't have that.
Well, this didn't have sprinklers in it.
And yours do?
Yes.
Fire investigators say reports that firefighters lost water pressure are wrong.
There was ample water supply for this fire, so the fact of losing water, no, not at all.
I wouldn't go in the phone.
Yeah.
As Red Cross volunteers unload bottled water, George comes back to get supplies for his boat. This was his vacation home.
I'm a little more fortunate than the other folks that live here. They're permanent residents, and this was more of a summer vacation home for me. So they lost their pictures and, you know, the clothing and everything, where I could go home last night and I still had that.
And Vic, what everybody here is so thankful for is that none of the residents were injured, no one killed, amazingly, with the incredible volume of fire that was here just yesterday. The residents that were living here, they've been relocated. And just a note, just to let you know, this building, the one that received so much damage, no sprinklers. The one right next door has sprinklers, and investigators really believe that that is what saved this building right there, those sprinklers. We'll send it back to you now on TV Hill. Vic?
Okay. Thank you, Katie. Insurance estimators believe that when the job of tallying the damage is all over, the total bill could be in excess of $5 million. We invite you to stay with Eyewitness News for continuing team coverage of the Northeast fire, on the very latest updates on the cleanup and the conditions of the firefighters.
The trial of a former Ku Klux Klan
take up the issue on Monday night, when a compromise is expected to be presented.
Many of those ideas on how to do that are
have private wells, and if they are infiltrated with floodwaters, they may want to boil their water, or certainly get them tested.
Well, what can you tell us to pass along to these individuals who are watching us tonight, other than just wondering about it? I mean, they should, we assume at this point, actually boil it, and then who do they contact to make sure that their water is okay after that?
Or perhaps the folks on wells, Susan, should, if they can buy water, to bring fresh water in and use that?
I would advise them to get in touch with their local Department of Public Health.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Susan Woods with the Maryland Department of Environment, thank you tonight for your call. We certainly appreciate your help. We want to give you some phone numbers for people throughout the area tonight, throughout Maryland, who need some help. This is in Northeast. These are non-emergency numbers that we got for you earlier from the fire department. 410-287-8222 and also 287-9890. That applies to the northeast area of Cecil County. If you're looking for perhaps a family member who you know who lives there, you haven't quite heard from them yet. Are they in a shelter? Are they with friends? Perhaps those numbers are how you could get in contact with them. Also, if you live in the area and you just need some questions answered, that is the number rather to use in order to access the information.
We've been watching seeing these pictures all evening. This is footage from News Chopper 11 earlier this evening. But going back to the water issue, we were told by Susan Woods of the Maryland Department of the Environment that the city water appears to be okay at this time. There are many people who are on wells. It would be prudent if you could get bottled water until your water can be tested. Individual wells, there are individual depending on where you live, one well could be okay, a well not too far away may not be. So in terms of taking in water for cooking and so forth, if you could get a hold of some bottled water would probably be the safest.
Second choice would be, of course, to boil it if you can't get out of your house to get in, and if you have power.
And then the other thing is that tomorrow still, this will be during the week, to get in touch with your local health department or your local water department there and ask them. Perhaps they can do testing, or they can best advise you on what to do, because we know that some are on wells, some are not.
Tom, what can you share with us at this point? Was this ever anything that we expected coming out of the storm? I know it's always unpredictable with hurricanes.
You know, it's just hard to visualize it. When you talk about numbers, you're looking at a weather map or graphic, it's hard to visualize the reality of flooding in a town like Northeast like this. But certainly when a hurricane comes on through, and that's what we were saying all through the summer, when we would hear folks say, what we really need is a tropical storm to come through. And we're always saying, be careful what you wish for.
Because it just did happen, and we did.
And this, unfortunately, is what you get. Now, this is kind of what we needed. We didn't need this sort of severe damage, but we needed all the rain. And now, hopefully, we can at least get rid of the drought problem. And as you folks have been saying all evening long, thank goodness we did not have reports of serious injuries and things like that we could definitely have.
Tom, could you address also quickly the fact of the matter is these pictures from the sky don't tell the tale of the strength of that water as it's running down.
Tony and I were talking about that when we were looking at it just tear apart that bridge. I mean, that's just the force of water.
Pure water.
Millions and millions of gallons of water pounding against that structure continuously. And
also a concern, if I might add this too, we just got word that there are some 365,000 people throughout the Maryland area without power tonight. And of course that was anticipated, and PG&E crews are out as much as possible. Well, Rod, we have a flashlight here you can borrow.
Good. I mean, back at home. I'm among that
on your way home tonight. Yeah, and they are working on it as quickly as possible. And of course, we've got crews out on all aspects of Floyd, and they're gathering the very latest information. We will have updates for you throughout the evening and a full report for you tonight at 11.
We thank you very much for joining, especially the folks in Northeast who were kind enough to share their stories with us live on the air. We're all hoping and praying for you, and we'll hope that tomorrow will bring a much better day than it did today for you.
Updates coming up. Stay with us.
Stay with us. We'll have a report later on this evening for you at 11 o'clock to let you know exactly what residents are dealing with there and then what they're looking forward to daybreak.
They have a lot ahead of them tonight and tomorrow. We'll bring them the latest updates for those of you in Cecil County who are watching us and throughout Maryland. All the very latest for updates throughout the evening and tonight at 11. You take care.
Well, first of all, Rod, what I got to tell you is that according to the folks who live, work, and control Northeast Maryland, this has never happened. And what is causing it, of course, is the Northeast Creek right here. There's a little Northeast Creek and a big Northeast Creek. What they've added up to tonight is a huge amount of trouble. One of the biggest problems that they're going to have to deal with are 3 bridges in town. This one, there's one over here, and in a moment we're going to be talking here to Melissa Cook McKenzie, who is the town administrator. We're both on Route 272, which are the main roads in and out of town. The problem is that the water, as we saw, if we can take a look at those pictures again, very, very stunning pictures, was right. As the water came over those bridges, I can remember Marianne talking about it at 6 o'clock as she was commenting and really calling a play-by-play of how the water was just chipping away and gnawing away at those bridges. For tonight, these bridges are closed. This town is literally, the access to the town is literally shut down. Melissa Cook McKenzie is the town administrator here in Northeast. First of all, let's talk about what has to happen before those bridges can be used again.
Well, the first thing that has to happen is the State Highway Administration has been out here. They have the bridge inspectors here. They will be back again tomorrow morning. If the water has subsided enough that they can get under these bridges and examine them, that will be the first step. Obviously, there will be no bridges open until they have had a complete examination and had the okay by State Highway to reopen. We're hoping that the southbound bridge can be reopened shortly for the weekend. Obviously, the northbound bridge, we don't know what the date of that's going to be.
Did you have any idea what was happening today in your town?
Actually, I didn't. We were just in constant motion throughout the day, trying to, help each other out, and you get caught up in it, and you really didn't realize until somebody came up and said, this is the news, you're on the news, this is the helicopters. No, you just...
I think it's our helicopter that gave you the idea that, oh my God,
That's exactly how we found out exactly how bad it was, and that we were the worst hit, apparently, in the area, was by you guys, being up here.
All right, well, later in the newscast, we're going to give you some close-up pictures of the kind of bridge damage that we're talking about. We were stunned to see it close up. I'm Jane Miller reporting live tonight from Northeast. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Jane. Well, no matter where you look today, the fury of Floyd just whipped you in the face. Owning a home on the water usually is nice. That is, of course, unless there's a hurricane. The homes in Pasadena were just pummeled by Floyd today. It's an area that Chief Meteorologist Tom Tasselmeyer predicted would be hard hit, and he joins us now to look at our first Insta weather tonight. Tom?
Well, Marianne, we are watching very closely to see if any more rain will pop up and just how long it'll take to completely clear the remnants of this storm out of here. And things are looking pretty good. On InstaWeather Storm Tracker, we're zoomed in tight up there where Jane Miller and Mindy are this evening, up around Northeast where the flooding occurred near Main Street and Cecil Avenue on the little Northeast Creek coming down from the north there. This is Big Northeast Creek, and then this is the Northeast River going right on in to the Chesapeake Bay. All the water draining down these few streams in here, still flooding out of their banks. But slowly coming down now, and you can see no rain showing up on InstaWeather Doppler radar around there. There are a few scattered showers coming across Baltimore County, but probably just a few sprinkles and some gusty winds. And overall, when we look at the whole state, we can see it's pretty dry off to our west, so we're not anticipating any more significant rain overnight. Now, the gusty winds are still with us out there, and we have to get rid of those. We'll talk about that coming up with the complete forecast in just a little bit.
Tom, thank you. The power problems in Maryland are absolutely enormous. Hundreds of thousands of families are in the dark. And tonight, 11 News has learned most people will be without power until Sunday, and that is the earliest. Our live team coverage continues tonight with 11 News reporter Kimberly Flood. Kimberly, where are you and what's the status?
Well, Rod, right now I'm on Kimber Road in Baltimore County, and we have BGE crews right over here to my left working at this time to restore power. They've been here since about 8:30 tonight. The problem is right over here. If you can follow me into this person's backyard, we have a tree with limbs hanging over a power line. You can see the crews at work right now. There is a tree trimmer all the way in the top of the tree, just sawing away, trying to get that limb off the power line. Now, I'm told this one tree is responsible for putting about 1,000 homes in the Catonsville area out of light. This one tree is responsible for putting about 1,000 homes in the dark. Here's how people are dealing with it. Randy Perry and her aunt trying to read by kerosene lamp in their Catonsville home as they keep tabs on the power outages in their area.
Listening to the radio. That's about it. And just trying to, Hope the best. I guess it could be a lot worse, but I understand, you know, it's pretty bad all around here.
Down trees like this on power lines put hundreds of thousands of folks in the dark all day and now into the night. It also put BGE crews to work. In Baltimore City, trees down, lights out. It's the same scenario. And in Anne Arundel County, there, this tree even sparked flames when it hit a line. Most residents, however, seem to be making the most of what's a bad situation, for now at least.
At dinner was a problem. We had to cook out on the grill. You know, my wife took care of that. She's pretty good with things like that. So, you know, other than that, as long as it's not a long hardship or a long duration, then there shouldn't be any problem.
Back now live, more than 300 BGE crews are out trying to restore power. Unfortunately, late word from BGE is that it could take days, maybe Sunday, worst case scenario, Tuesday. Reporting live from Baltimore County, Kimberly Flood, WBAL 11 News.
All right, well, just how widespread is the power problem? Take a look at these numbers. The remaining outages are scattered in other counties. As you can see, 70,600 in Anne Arundel.
The manufacturing plant, they had to evacuate as flood waters began rising. Rescue crews transported about 55 people from the Procter & Gamble plant to safety. And 3 people who were stuck inside of a bar got a little wet during their escape.
Very, very bad. We are up there. Can you get a shot of my legs? We're all soaking wet. We're running around 3 feet deep.
Rescue crews in Harford County made about 5 trips to bring people to safety.
Meanwhile, in Ocean City tonight, the boards are coming off the windows as an unwelcome visitor called Floyd leaves town, finally. 2 News reporter Bill Prasad is live near the shore with the very latest from there. Bill?
Stan, no major damage to report in Ocean City. Floyd did huff and puff, but nothing was blown away. The water is still getting churned up, and it's not just the ocean. On the Sinnapunxet Bay side at the water's edge, choppy seas toss a boat. Water is still left from minor street flooding earlier in the afternoon. Inside this home, Frank Hoover says high winds popped out his window. It struck his wife.
And fortunately, it didn't hurt her.
Thursday afternoon at about 1, Floyd delivered his toughest punch. Squalls 10 to 15 feet high pounded the beach, but erosion was minor. At least 7 inches of rain fell. Winds gusted to more than 70 miles per hour. Local shelter grew to about 75 people. They weren't taking any chances. For people who live here, it's become part of the routine.
I think you get a little bit used to it, but it's sort of a pain.
As the sun set, the whitecaps were still rising, but Floyd was running out of steam. Good news for the now window-watching Hoovers.
Oh, yes. I feel better now that it's gone.
Back here live in Ocean City, most of the tape and the plywood have been removed from the windows of businesses and homes. Dennis and Floyd in the last couple of weeks have left their calling cards here. It has been a turbulent beginning to the hurricane season. Live in Ocean City, Bill Prasad, 2 News.
All right, Bill, thank you very much. Well, what a day this has been. Floyd's fury will certainly never be forgotten.
Oh, that is for sure. For towns like Northeast and Cecil County, Hurricane Floyd takes a seat alongside Agnes of 72. The storm rattled the entire East Coast. Hurricane Floyd roared ashore today near Cape Fear, North Carolina, with 110-mile-per-hour winds. It dropped 20 inches of rain. As it crossed into Virginia, the high and ferocious wind cut power to thousands and flooded streets across the state. Then Ocean City takes the brunt. The heavy surf and wind pound the beach and send the famous Ferris wheel into a spin. Then Floyd's fury pushes into Baltimore, downing trees and power lines. The Jones Falls swells 7 feet higher than normal. Heavy flooding causes trouble across the region. And after passing through Maryland, the storm headed into the Philadelphia and New York areas. And at this hour, it is hammering away at New England. It is far away, but Floyd's damaging effects will stay with us throughout the week. And we know that when people aren't going to have power, perhaps until Sunday, maybe.
I'll be drying out my basement probably for the next week or so.
What do you have, 2 inches, you said?
About 2 inches worth, yeah. All right, still ahead on 2 News at 11 o'clock. Despite a desperate attempt to save them, 2 young boys perish in a house fire in Odenton.
And after a day like today...
Take a look. The Northeast Creek rose quickly and charged through this small town, turning a residential neighborhood into a turbulent river.
It's incredible. The water here today was the most I've ever seen ever. It was incredible.
The fast water took over this town, engulfing homes, garages, cars, and sheds. About 100 people were asked to evacuate their homes. Most did. Thomas Gill and Christina Henley, left with only the clothes on their backs, had to leave their 2 cats behind. They told our Damon Andrews it's weighing heavily on their minds.
Make sure everything's all right.
Scary.
Just to make sure everything in our house is all right.
It's scary. I never thought it would happen.
Has this ever happened before?
Not this high.
Not
Never.
this high at all.
Look at it.
Plenty did just that. Streams of people headed towards the bridge. What they saw left them in subdued shock. Police tape warned of the danger, but some chose not to heed the advice.
Our problem now is pedestrians on the street and keeping people out of the way.
Town officials eventually asked residents to stay indoors. Mother Nature's show is over for now. You're standing here watching this. What are you thinking as you're looking at this?
I'm just thinking of the repairs we're all going to have to go through.
Certainly some property loss. I would say considerable property loss. We have lots of houses that were flooded on the lower areas, but no, I think that all in all we're very fortunate.
So the good news is nobody was hurt. The bad news is high tide is still to come at 3 a.m. Reporting live in Northeast, Mindy Becerra, WBAL 11 News.
Here is Chief Meteorologist Tom Tasselmeyer and 11 InstaWeather.
Well, after a day like today, you may find it hard to believe, but it actually could have been worse. I mean, we had a 2-pronged punch from Floyd.
Where Floyd certainly made his fury known. I'm Jane Miller reporting live from Cecil County. Back to you.
Okay, Jane, thank you. And of course, a lot of power outages throughout the area as well. BGE crews working on that as quickly as possible.
That's a look at our news for this evening. We thank you very, very much for joining us tonight.
We want to check in one more time with weather, though, with Tom.
The worst of the storm is out of here. We still have some gusty winds tonight, but they will gradually